So there was no jealousy or anything. I never had any.
I didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that. No, you did. That did come up in an argument one time. There was no jealousy. There was nothing. I had no ill feelings towards the dude. That came in my witnessing or watching the grieving process. That's when it became a problem. So. You just gonna sit there?
Wait, what do you mean?
TV show host, and you're just letting dead space. You're not saying anything.
No, it's not that I'm saying dead space. I'm allowing you to say how you feel, because when I did say something, it was.
But because you were wrong.
And I can't speak for you. I can't speak for you. But there are a lot of people who are going through this type of situation, and they're going through it.
Who's going through the situation?
Somebody, because we are not exempt. We go through the same stuff that everybody else goes through. But
this is but here's the thing. It was a unique situation because it wasn't a one-off. It wasn't a one-off. I've never met anybody who was best friends with their ex. That was a new circumstance. I didn't even know that paradigm existed in the world. I had to deal with my ex because we had 3 children together, and I had to talk to her almost every day. And as the kids got older, that weaned off, And so it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that you were mourning him. It was the fact that you had an ongoing relationship with him that I couldn't process because I've never seen it. Now, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a right to exist. So I'm smart enough to know that different people do things differently. I'm just saying in my lifetime, I'd never seen 2 people who were married, had a terrible divorce, and then became best friends. That was some new shit to me. That's all I said.
What?
And to this date, I still haven't seen it again.
Well, we made better friends.
You said that.
He literally raised.
He did. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he literally raised the children. And
he went to bat for those kids when
yes.
Nobody else would. He taught them how to be men when there was nobody else to do it. He was a good, solid human. My problem wasn't with that dude. It wasn't with him at all.
I was just having this conversation kind of like this with somebody the other day, and my thing is, if we can all be friends, which it sounded like they were, since he was helping out with the doctors, I don't understand his confusion. So yeah, I would be in a situation like that if everybody knew everybody and we knew we were all trying to co-parent and make sure the kids had what they needed. That's not an issue. You have to be secure in a situation like that. And like Ms. Taker said, set boundaries, but I don't understand, if we all friends, should we all be mourning the death of the loss of the friend? Instead, he looking for a reason to attack her. And like Jay said, that's some sucker shit. That's weak. That's random, and it's just he looking for a reason. I don't know if I stay with that dude. Like, bro, what you mean? Like, you literally was calling doctors, and you don't feel some type of way about him being dead right now? Like, where's your soul? Where did that disappear to?
I just want to get some clarification. When you guys say attacking, you mean during that discussion he attacked her?
No, I feel like he's trying to make her feel guilty. And I mean, you could see it in the discussion, the way he described it. He's trying to make her feel guilty for grieving. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by attacking. Like,
it's definitely an emotional attack. Psychological gaslighting, even, because like the real definition of gaslighting, because he was in on it and it's a sad situation, but he don't want her to be sad. Like, be for real. What's the real reason that you want to be mad at me? That's
The
what I
other
would
thing
want
that
to know.
stuck out to me that he said is, I'm just not used to people, divorcing and still, having a relationship. So I think for him, like you said, that's something new. But the fact that things have to be toxic is crazy. So the toxicity is the norm. So, which is abnormal. Toxicity is abnormal. So the fact to see a healthy, because not all divorces have to be toxic, right? If both people know that, you know what, this situation isn't conducive for you and I or for the kids, it's best that we separate or whatever, because we don't work well as husband and wife. But once you get that title done, the level of expectation as friends is totally different than husband and wife. So you could have a tendency to get along a lot better now that y'all are not together, because I don't have the same responsibilities and obligations to you as a husband than I do as a friend. So we can get along very well without being husband and wife and co-parent. We could be great co-parents, but we didn't do well as husband and wife. And that's nothing. It's nothing wrong with it. That's the ideal situation. You still want everybody to get along when the kids are involved.
One of the things that I do want to bring up too is that whenever you have discussions, typically interviews or like you going to therapy, we have to be careful in how we look at certain things as an attack. I'm not saying that that's not what he was doing, but when somebody's asked how do they feel about a certain situation and then they express it and the person hears something that they don't like or that they felt that he's lying about, then it becomes an attack. And it happens up on both sides. So I think that's one of the things I want to highlight, that he said he didn't want to discuss it. And then the discussion happened and then he just started to open up. I honestly believe that there's something happened, whether he drew it up in his own head or whether he noticed something he never did bring it to attention. It may be some things that he's been struggling with that may be outside of her as well. But there definitely is something going on, and probably was trouble in paradise early on in within that relationship. And this just probably might have been the icing on the cake. And you're just starting to hear it. And you see this happen often where people are going through things and they don't discuss it because they don't really have great communication and don't know how to operate within conflict the correct way. And then when given an opportunity, they just start laying it down low. Some people can't gather their thoughts, so he can just be all over the place. And it's just like, well, where's all this coming from? Like, what? Like, so this
But that is a form of psychological attack, though. When you bottle that in and then all of a sudden, and then on top of that, you like all sideways with it, like beating around the bush with it, leaving her on cliffhangers. That is a form of psychological attack. Like she probably had like, well, like what are you talking about? Like while we were going through this, you were like my biggest ally and his while he was dying, and now all of a sudden you got a problem with me being sad. That's weird, JR.
I
like
think
really,
he got defensive when he brought up the point of him, helping with the medicine and the doctor. I think in that moment he was trying to defend himself in the sense of not wanting to prove that he wasn't jealous of the guy. Because I think he felt like he was coming across as being jealous, and he wanted to kind of nip that in the bud and got defensive, like, I wasn't jealous because I did X, Y, and Z to prove that he wasn't jealous.
But
that may have been there may have been a level of jealousy after the fact, after he saw the way she grieved. So the jealousy may not have occurred in the moment when he was helping, but it could have occurred after the fact.
I do want to get Hank in there. Let me get Hank in there first, Shan.
Okay, go ahead.
Hank, I'm not sure if you been kind of keeping up what's going on, but what are your thoughts?
You tell. Yeah, I don't agree with the shit at all, man. Junior, give me Marcus Harrison Jr. My bad. I don't agree with that shit at all. I don't, because I mean, I don't. If my wife was doing all this bullshit, right, ex, that would be an issue already. Ain't got nothing to do with psychological abuse or anything like that. I'm gonna be there for it because it's her, and I'm gonna be there for kids. Damn, I don't feel sorry for the person that
it's kind of hard with that.
Okay, okay. Let me step outside. Go ahead and go around. I'll be right back.
All right, go ahead, Shan.
Okay, so I clearly I missed some things because my internet was going in and out. So my understanding, just for clarity before I say anything, the guy, her ex was sick and they were helping the ex, right? And he ended up passing away. So we're taking care of two households here. Seems I'm sorry. I mean, maybe I'm a selfish individual. I do believe in helping people and everything. But if my man was, it's just some. Is that okay with y'all? Like, am I the only
Nah,
one?
but you got to factor the kids. You got to factor the kids. Like, a lot of that help may be because this was somebody to her kids. You know what I mean? It's not just
So
her.
they
If
had
it was-
kids together. Like I told you, my internet was going out. So so it was the kid's father that they were taking care of, right?
that's the way it appears.
Okay. Yeah. I get that. I mean, but that is, I think somebody said it, and that's, you know. mm.
All right, let me see if I get AJ in there. AJ. Oh, well, hold on. Let's wait. Okay, can you hear me, AJ?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm not sure if you saw the clip, but what were your thoughts about it if you did?
I'm not sure. I probably got kicked out.
Okay. All right. I'll come back to you on the next one. Go ahead, Jay.
Okay.
Nah, I was going to say, I mean, what it seems like, and this is just my opinion, the ex probably treated her like crap. She probably during the relationship, she probably dealt with a lot of cheating. It seems like he discarded her. But then after the relationship, they became friends. Sounds like she voiced a lot of how the husband treated her to her new guy. You know what I mean? So he's trying to figure out, if he treated you this bad, how is this grieving still existing? That's how he's trying to rationalize it. Like, you complained to me about how he did this, or the relationship was this. How could you still be grieving him in spite of him passing away? He's trying to kind of try to rationalize why, but that has nothing to do with it. So it seems like he might have discarded her, and he's trying to figure out, how would you still feel all of this about somebody that kind of discarded you or treated you this way when y'all were together? But you have to, somebody was asking, had you been in a situation, or would you be in a situation? I think you had to be a special type of dude to deal with a situation like that, and you have to assess it. If there's a friendship, I wouldn't deal with that friendship shit, you know what I'm saying, with an ex, because that shit can get funny. You know what I mean? Especially if he still has a certain degree of control over her emotions, you know what I'm saying, can affect her good days, bad days. If he can do that, like, nah, I'm not dealing with that. I'd say, like, yo, he still has one of her infinity stones. And unless you have the capabilities to fucking get that infinity stone from him, you don't need to be dealing with it, because she's always gonna go back to him. When y'all start, when y'all find y'all problems, she's gonna run back to him. He's gonna be that safety net. So I wouldn't deal with it.
So
I
that's
agree with that.
okay.
I agree with that 100%. I was just scrolling through the comments, and they're talking about, oh, this is feminism, blah, 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 blah. Listen, this man chose this life. Don't try to flip the fact that this man chose a weird situation that in the end he wasn't comfortable with, and try to say it was feminism. That's on me. The hell are you talking about? That man chose. What we're saying is the fact that he chose. The fact that he chose disqualifies him for feeling some type of way about her grieving his death. He chose that life. You live by the simp, you die by the simp. She crying. You know what I'm saying? She grieving. You can't get mad at her after you know you agreed to the friendship. How's that feminism? That's ignorant. Anyway, I had to say that. That's stupid. I hate stupid shit.
And sometimes you just have to know your place, man. You know, you may be able to touch their pelvis, but somebody else probably touched their spirit. And when you got a pelvis and a spirit, the spirit always wins, dog.
Dropping bars over there, man. Let's go ahead and transition, man. Hit the like button. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're moving right along.
Can you hear me, JL? My bad.
I forgot it. Go back and go ahead. Yeah, we
No, I
got
just want to make sure you can hear me. No, I don't. Look, I don't. That's crazy. Why is my wife continues to grieve over something that happened? I don't know. Was it a one day thing or was it an ongoing thing? That I guess that would be my question. If she's doing it multiple days at a time, then that's a problem. If she's doing it the day of the day she found out the news and maybe the day of the wake and the funeral, okay. But we need to transition because you're no longer with this dude, and no telling how long you've been away from this relationship. That to me that's a problem. I wouldn't want to see my wife grieving over an ex-husband like that constantly. No, I wouldn't. Now, if I'm gonna be there for the kids and make sure they're good, and have conversations with them. But if they continue to grieve, and that's understandable. That's the father. They understand. But man, you no longer with him. Your last name ain't the same no more. So your last name belongs to me. So if that's the case, then you belong to me, and you need a whatever, I guess, sorrow and emotions. You got to deal with that as soon as possible. Because what I'm not going to do is sit there and watch you cry and boo-hoo and snobble all over this motherfucker you ain't no longer with no more. Now we're not doing that shit. Then if that's the case, you go lay beside him in the goddamn grave.
I agree, but just make better choices from the get-go. He signed up for that.
He decided what he signed up for.
He was paying for doctors and medicine, and he agreed to all of that. Like, he was the friend. He was that man friend too.
Just because he sobbed and do all that for him. I mean,
So
I don't know what type of relationship these dudes had.
They're saying that those kids were not his biological kids.
Right,
He
but he
raised those
them from when they were young.
Okay. When he was little, she said that was their father. That's who they know is their father.
Gotcha.
all right.
The issue that I have is, and even he admitted it too, is that you can't tell somebody how to grieve. Even for you as an individual, you don't even know how you're going to grieve beforehand. Like I have I have not lost my mom or dad yet, right? I can get anxiety just thinking about knowing that day is going to come, right? But when it actually happens, I have no idea how that is going to impact me. And if I was in a relationship, and I know we're talking about, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, ex-husband, wife, whatever situation. I couldn't say, like, if my husband passed, yes, I grieved. I was with him. I don't know how long she was with her ex-husband, but I was with my husband since I was 18, right? Say he passes, and then let's say 2 years go by, I get back in the dating scene or whatever, and I met somebody that I actually care about, love, and we end up getting married, right? Like, and then my sister dies or whatever. I don't know how that situation would because he was alive or whatever. So we broke up, he dies. I don't know how I'm going to grieve even if we had split up, because all of the memories of typically when somebody dies, a lot of times you fantasize it as opposed to like, man, he used to cuss me out. Like, that might be the situation that why they divorced or whatever. But then you also remember the good times or what have you. So I just don't like the idea of the guy and even Hank saying, okay, yeah, you can grieve, but you got to hurry up and suck that up. You can't just keep, crying over the dude for days. Like you got Like that has nothing to do with how somebody grieves, whether I have your last name or not. There's a level of an imprint that's on you when certain people come into your life and have an impact. So to just say, get over it.
I think we're missing information here on the grieving process. It's something we're missing here. Like it's common sense that if somebody passes away, you're going to grieve. But I got a feeling it was a little bit more to the situation. This grieving must have been extended way past. It must have been interfering with their relationship. It had to have been something.
Yes, Daddy.
We're missing, because I fail to believe that a person, if you're crying or you feel something way about somebody's death and they just died, people don't take that in consideration. Something happened with it. Like I said, that grieving period must have taken way longer than the average grieving period, or some, like I told you, like my friend.
How long is the grieving period, though? I'm just curious. How long is it?
Well, it depends on how much the person means to you, right? So if the person means a great deal to you, like I told you, like with my friend, and I sent you just really look at your text message. I showed you a picture of what I'm talking about. It's like and this has been years later. Always, I never see the new girl. He always posting about his ex-wife. So that's a different kind of grief. You know what I'm saying? And that's years. So I don't know. There's a lot of information that's missing. Put it that way.
Like I said, I think he was implying, or he's trying to get her to admit that something was going on that he didn't know about. That's what I believe. The way he was talking, I felt like he thinks that they were still intimate.
Or he thinks, or maybe he thinks that maybe you still have feelings for him, the reason why y'all were friends, because you really still have feelings for him. It's just all he was offering you was friendship. Because there's a lot of people in situations like that. They really want to be with a person. So because they can't be with them, they'll take the friendship. And you really want to be with this dude. And I was the person who wanted to be with you. So we ended up, but that's another story.
It was the
worst part of the situation
for me. He said everything except that, though. That was my biggest issue with that whole situation. Mm-hmm. Despite everything else. Well, you did this, and bruh, just ask her if she was fucking him.
If he was still touching that spirit, right? That's what it was.
Like at the end of the day, but he want to beat around the bush, roll his eyes, and smack his lips in the interview. Man,
I don't know. The part that just sounds sick to me is he died. I just Googled it. He died of pancreatic cancer. So you're telling me that he had these insecurities while this man was potentially going through hospice, while he was holding his wife's. Pancreatic cancer, to pass away from that is like one of the most worst cancers you can pass away from.
Cancer
so it's just like that makes it even more. That makes it really morbid in my brain right now. Yeah. Now that I Googled that.
That makes a difference, because if you see anybody, and me, I'm mistaken, had a friend, I wasn't even close to her like that, but just seeing her in that situation still played. We went to visit her in hospice, and this was in 2015, and I can't even drive past that. It still plays with you. So that's I'm glad you Googled that. Y'all, that's a totally different type of, situation. Just seeing somebody go through that.
Yeah, and my grandfather passed of pancreatic cancer. And that was 20-something years ago. My grandmother never moved on. She said, I will never marry anybody else because I know nobody else could ever compare to him. I'd rather die and see him in heaven. And he's been gone, like, how old is my son? 24. So it's been about 25 years that he's been gone. And that's it for her.
I can't hear you, Sweeney.
So I'm trying to put the timeline together. He said that they got together in 2018, 2019. What was it, 2018, 2019? And her husband died in 2020. And then her sister passed in 2022. So
the timeline is close. You get together 2018. He gets sick. He dies in 2019.
2020.
So 2 years. So 2 years, he ends up dying of cancer, right? So we get together 2018. They're cool. They're friends. 2020, he dies. Then 2020, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of death in a short period of time, in my opinion.
He's just grieving. Like it ain't even. It's just too much. It's a lot.
And also, is he saying that she was grieving him the entire 2 years up until his sister passed, or is he just saying that I noticed that from seeing you grieve your sister, it dawned on me that it was the same kind of grief that you had for your ex-husband?
Yeah, that's the way it sounded like.
Who's measuring that, man? That man need a hobby.
How do you measure that? That's like, what is he doing? Checklist? Like,
It had to be some other
crazy to me.
thoughts. Some had to happen that was bothering him early on, and when he's saying that, it just kind of confirms whatever it is that he's already thinking, which we don't know what that is.
But I know this is off the topic, but y'all understand. I'm glad Ali brought this up. Different deaths play with your mind in different ways. Okay, it don't matter how close you are. Like I said, I had a friend at work. She died of cancer. That was my first time seeing somebody in hospice that way, and it played with me. I had a friend who we were cool. We maybe talked 3 times a year. She killed herself. That it's just different ways. Things, it's just different. I can't explain it. It's just different. So just you never know until you're in that situation with God. God forbid you're ever in that situation. But I'm just saying.